One thing you see there in its opening hand, Shrine of Burning Rage. That is one. Now, it's not its strongest here against Abzan, thanks to cards like Abrupt Decay, which are able to just get rid of that artifact right away. Um, Shrine of Burning Rage was played in the deck list that won the previous Modern GP. So that's Barry's trying it out this tonight at least to see if he likes it. Turn 1, he had a Monastery of Swiftspear, so he is able to have this turn 2 Shrine, which will trigger Prowess, and will also get it into play as soon as he can, which is what you want ideally out of the card. The sooner you can get that Shrine down, the better it is, because it does start ticking up every turn on your upkeep. So he's going to get in for 1 here. I'm curious what he's going to do. He just says damage. Okay. Main phase 2, he'll play the Shrine. Don't really know if it was intentional the way he did it here, but it did avoid Dan pushing the Swiftspear, I guess. I don't know. So there's the Shrine there. 2 mana artifact, beginning of your upkeep, or whenever you cast a red spell, put a charge counter on Shrine of Burning Rage. 3 mana, sacrifice Shrine of Burning Rage. You said as he cast the Shrine. Oh, okay. Did he? Okay. Sacrifice it, deal damage equal to the number of charge counters on a target creature or player. So basically, every red spell, every upkeep, put a counter on that, and then 3 mana, throw it at your opponent and deal a bunch of damage. Yeah, again, this list is playing 0 Eidolon's main deck, and instead has 4 Shrines instead. Barry's gone a bit further, I will say. He's had a little more spice. That should trigger his Shrine, but he might have missed the trigger, unfortunately. It's not optional. It doesn't say may, so he has to remember it, but he can miss it if they go too far. But yeah, so there's the second counter. He's got in hand Lightning Helix, Lava Spike, and Boros Charm. So he's got a lot of burn left in his hand to work with here. Now, Dan has in hand a copy of Maelstrom Pulse, so he actually has an answer here to the Shrine if he wants. Goyf is currently a 2-3. Now it's a 3-4, though. Yeesh. Eidolon is probably stronger than Bolt. Like, as in Lightning Bolt? Because I disagree with that. Lightning Bolt is a much better card than Eidolon of the Great Revel. Just in terms of versatility. Alright, so Goyf is currently a 3-4. This is going to kill the Goyf, but it's going to be a trade with his Swiftspear. So Barry goes to 18, Goyf takes 3 damage, Shrine gets a counter, Swiftspear and Goyf trade. I disagree with that a spot. I think it's very strong, but I feel it's hard to argue that it's better than like Boros Charm or Lightning Bolt for that matter. Goblin Guide's also very good. Swiftspear's also very good. I think in all honesty, Eidolon's probably the worst creature. Maybe he beats Goblin Guide. I'll concede that, maybe. But Swiftspear, I think, is much better than Eidolon. Swiftspear says all of your spells deal 1 more damage, basically. Okay, so Dan having a read of that Shrine again. Again, he does have a way to deal with it this turn. He does have that Maelstrom Pulse. We'll have to see if he decides that's what he wants to do. That may just be the safest play here for Dan. Once Burn has enough mana untapped. I'm a little confused about this card, to be honest. I'm a little torn about it. It just seems slow to me. I would argue Eidolon's better than this card. Yep. Another Swiftspear got picked up for here for Barry, so he's going to play that. He's going to probably pair it with the Lava Spike. He's actually going to pair it with Boros Charm. That's fine too. So this will be 6 damage total. Dan now at 11. Leaving himself with just a Lava Spike in hand. Dan, if you'd like, would get to Thoughtseize that away. And that would leave him with a Scavenging Ooze he could use still if he wants to shock into play that Temple Garden. Okay, so Dan opts just to go ahead, put Temple Garden into play tapped, play Liliana of the Veil, make Barry sacrifice a creature. Barry's draw for the turn Sacred Foundry, which he's going to shock into play. A little confused about that. No, he's not shocking. There's no need to, obviously. So, Lava Spike here is going to deal with the Liliana, it looks like. Okay. It's always an interesting spot to deal with the Lianas. They're so awkward sometimes. Dan starts his turn now with access to the Scavenging Ooze, which is going to be pretty huge because he now has access to 3 extra green mana. So this potentially going to be game over here. Dan is going to immediately eat both creatures out of Barry's graveyard, putting him to 13. Yeah, I feel like... Yeah. See, the Helix isn't even enough now because it's too small. No, he does not, Spada. Barry just says go. Dan on end step will fetch, grab himself a Verdant Catacomb. No, there's no bot set up. We don't currently have any bots in our chat. Here comes the attack for 4. He'll make it 5 by eating a 3rd Swift Spear. Is there 3 of them? Jeez. So Dan at 13, so is Barry now. Liliana here of the Last Hope, going to, I imagine, tick up because she can't cast the Wave right now anyways. So the Black and Berries deck is for sideboard Reign of Gore. That is all he has black in there for. Okay, he'll suspend a Rift Bolt. Dan's going to, on the end step, eat his own Goyf. Up to 14 he goes. So this kind of takes away Liliana's purpose now, getting back a Goyf. But now it gets to just kind of grow and grow until he starts making all the zombies. Inquisition of Kozilek is going to force Barry's hand. He's going to have to go ahead and fire off this Lightning Helix, which he's fine with. He'll go ahead, bring Dan to 11, himself to 16. Dan's out of virtual 8, so there are draws where Barry does win this game. Barry gonna fall to 10 here. Dan's Thoughtseize in hand, not any use. Mills over. Second Scavenging is really good. Debating if he wants to bring it back or not, though. And I think the 1 point that he'll gain will actually take this race into his favor. Yeah, he does leave it in the graveyard. He does go ahead and eat it because he's now at 9. So Barry now needs at best 3 draws, which he won't have access to. He's going to bring Dan to 9. A land also makes Barry dead, so it doesn't really matter. Barry needed to run like Boros Charm to even have a shot. And now that shot's gone. So this is an attack for 7. Barry's going to fall to 3. He still has outs to not die because he is main decking 2 copies of Ensnaring Bridge. So he's not dead. But Searing Blaze is not Ensnaring Bridge. Take 3. That's right. Make him kill you. All right, so Dan will finish at 6, but that'll be enough to get the job done. So Dan will take game 1 here. I feel that this is not the matchup that Shrines were made for, so I feel like Shrines are probably coming out here. Dan just has answers to that card. I'll be fair, I didn't watch any of the GP, so I don't really know what he intended the Shrine to do. If it was just like value and there was like no real answers to it. But it seems like it's miserable against green-black decks that have access to Abrupt Decay, Maelstrom Pulse, things like that to just answer the artifact. Ticks up and gives nobody. I mean, it does, but I don't know. It just feels like such a blowout when it gets killed like that. Oh, Espada. If you've never seen Barry's sideboard plan for burn, you're in for a treat, sir. You are in for a treat. We jokingly refer to Barry's burn deck as burn control, and you're probably going to see why. if he draws his sideboard, you will most certainly see why. Yeah. We'll go over quickly here what Barry is going to bring in. He has access to Rest in Peace, Reign of Gore, and Leyline of Sanctity that he's going to bring in for this matchup, probably. I don't have an exact deck list. I can tell you what his sideboard looks like. His sideboard that he played this previous weekend was... So his sideboard from this previous Sunday was 2 Stony Silence, 3 Grafdigger's Cage, 3 Destructive Revelry, 2 Reign of Gore, 2 Rest in Peace, 3 Leyline of Sanctity. So I think he brought in 7 cards. Those are the Leylines, the Reign of Gores, and the Rest in Pieces. Method, we're going to have the deck lists posted on our Facebook page, as well as, I think, probably MTG Top 8 or something like that, or Goldfish. Once my Facebook, whatever, gets on it. Hopefully tomorrow is my hope. But yeah, once it's on there, you can see Barry's deck list from this previous weekend. Now, again, he's changed a couple things in the main deck since then. He took out the Eidolons and instead is playing the Shrines. He also took out a couple other cards to put in Isochron Scepters. Yep. I said Isochron Scepters. But Barry decided that he was tired of losing to Liliana Discard and other burn matchups when they came up. So he decided that Leyline would be a good choice. And if you look back on our coverage to, I believe, last Wednesday, Barry had an absolute blowout game with Leyline against an opposing Smallpox deck, where the combination of Leyline of Sanctity, Reign of Gore, and Ensnaring Bridge essentially won him the game. Yep. Didn't ever think those 3 cards would combine and burn, but, you know, there they are. So I believe Barry has in hand a copy of Rest in Peace. It's a white card for sure. I don't believe it's Leyline, though. Dan was tanking on a mulligan. Is going to take a mulligan to 6 here, though. Barry looks to have kept his 7. Regular burn beats smallpox anyways. Like, you're not wrong. It should. I mean, it's, I don't know, like, the combination of Inquisition and Thoughtseize is really strong at stripping Burn's hand, combined with Liliana, so... All right, Dan will keep his 6. He scries to the top. Barry starts things off here with a Goblin Guide off of an Inspiring Vantage. The card Dan scried to the top is a good one, though. Collective Brutality, which he will pick up and add to his hand. So a little unfortunate there for Dan, but... Yeah, the Smallpox player that he ran into was playing a few main deck Brutalities, which are very, very good. So Barry has an interesting choice here between Shrine and Rest in Peace. Wow, a second Brutality. Jeez, Dan. Dan with the good draws here is going to go ahead and also Fatal Push away this Goblin Guide. Barry going to go ahead here. Bolt and Lava Spike you. That almost makes me think that like takes out all of the instant sorceries that Brutality could hit in his hand. That's my only reason I could imagine Barry firing that off there. He still has Rest in Peace and Shrine, neither of which a Brutality can take. And the third card could still be anything. Dan will play a Marsh Flats, which he'll sacrifice immediately. It's at 11. I have to imagine we're going to see one of those 2 Brutalities come down now. To drain, and I mean... Again, I feel like if I'm Dan and my opponent on burn decided to fire off a Bolt and a Lava Spike before it got to my turn where he knows I have Brutality, to me it feels like he probably won't have anything for this to hit. Or if he does, he doesn't care about it being hit. Yeah, he doesn't. He has Scalding Tarn, Rest in Peace, and Shrine of Burning Rage, so it just doesn't matter. Dan will gain 2 life, which is what he really wanted it for, so it's 18 to 13 now. But this kind of takes away... I don't want to say the effectiveness of the card, because obviously it's still a very good card. He gets to know what he's up against, and he also gets to, of course, gain 2 life, which is always important against burn. But, yeah, I don't know. Not being able to take a card out of the hand is pretty important. Barry here, Shrine of Burning Rage comes down, along with that Scalding Tarn. He can just say go now. He has the Lightning Bolt to turn on, well, turn on Shrine, but to tick up Shrine, and also he can cast that in response if Dan fires off Brutality. Dan, I believe, has a Grim Flayer in hand, which means he knows, thanks to that Rest in Peace, Grim Flayer is going to be always going to be a 2/2. Goyf will always be a 0/1 unless, of course, he Abrupt Decays or Maelstrom pulses away the Rest in Peace. Right now, the Flare would be a 2/2 still. There are currently 3 card types in Dan's graveyard: Instant, Sorcery, and Land. Dan will add another land to the graveyard, falling to 12, fetching away that Windswept Heath. His hand, again, I believe it's Brutality, Verdant Catacombs, and Grim Flayer, so... No, you can't get that, Dan. That's a swamp off of a Windswept Heath. You can't do that. 1 second, guys. I don't know if my spotters... No, give me 1 second, guys. Okay, there we go. Quick little fix there. Dan just changes the land he gets a basic plains instead. No big difference. Second block is pretty important, but... so, there was the Grim Flayer played. Barry is going to go ahead end step here, and I'm assuming going to fire off Bolt at Grim Flayer. And this is a spot where I think the shrine looks good now. Barry's went to Dan, eh? Okay. Just gonna give him the business. Isochron Scepter method. He is playing 2 copies of it. There's that rest in peace. Goodbye, graveyard. Zuh. Dan's draw for the turn was Overgrown Tomb, so second black is not going to be an issue here. Shrine is currently on 2, so at this point, just ticking up to... like who was it said? Muffin Button said, just inevitability at this point, really. Which I think is fine. Here's an attack for 2 from the Grim Flayer. It's going to bring Barry to 16. Dan will have a trigger still, so he gets to... I don't really know what... Some confusion here. Just a little talk here. I can show you what it is. This card. 2 mana, artifact, imprint. When it comes into play, you may exile an instant card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand. 2 mana, tap it. You may copy the exiled card. If you do, you get to cast it without paying its mana cost. Isochron Scepter. So Dan here going to just get rid of 3 cards. Now, Barry's ideal cards. Boros Charm, Searing Blazers is not bad. Skullcrack is very good. Yes, Silence and Astral Conceptor is very, very good, obviously. But that is not what Barry's doing. Scavenging Ooze, that's a Grizzly Bear. 2 mana, 2/2. That's all he's got there. Dan is just going to go ahead and drain Barry for 2 here. So Barry goes to 14. Dan goes to 11. And there's an attack for 2. So Barry now to 12. Grim Flayer trigger again. Tireless Tracker, Liliana, and Marsh Flats. I believe Dan with just a land in hand right now. Do any of these cards matter to you, Dan? So gets rid of Marsh Flats and Liliana. We'll keep Tireless Tracker, though. And then says go. Hold on to the land. Not a big surprise there. So Shrine now up to 4. Boros Charm is a great one, though. That will essentially bring Dan to 2. Boros Charm puts Dan to 7. Puts the Shrine to 5. Shrine goes to 6 on upkeep. Any burn spell in this game's over. This is an attack for 4. Barry's at 8. But I think, yeah, Barry's going to need the burn spell, though. Otherwise, he's dead. Because when Dan plays this tracker this turn, that'll be 7 damage on board, along with a clue to sacrifice and bring him to 8. So Barry does need a top deck here. Otherwise, he is just dead. Yeah, the Isochron's interesting for sure. For sure. Okay, so there's the tracker. That'll get Dan a clue once he plays this Verdant Catacombs. All right, Barry says end of turn. I will Boros Charm you. You're at 7. Any red spell. No, sorry. Yeah, any red spell is lethal. Doesn't matter if it's. Oh, was that a Rainagore he drew? It was. He can't cast it. He's got no black mana. No, Barry. Okay, so... No. He's not dead, but he has to now throw the Shrine at the Tireless Tracker to not die. Oh, it's heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. 'Cause, 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 'cause Now this is only if Dan cracks the clue. If he doesn't crack the clue, Barry won't die. Okay, well Barry knows that I guess Barry not seeing that he can throw the shrine at the tracker, but no black mana. Oh, devastating. He's not technically dead, but I mean, he has one draw to draw exactly ensnaring. Oh my! Oh no! I was gonna say he's got one draw to draw ensnaring bridge to not die, and that was the next card. Oh no!